Hello, this is Tim Mitchell with Wolferhound, and I build things. I like to make things. I come in, I'll come have an idea, and I like to just make things. I don't like to go out and buy parts though, so free parts is one of the best things for me. So in order to do that, I scavenge parts from old electronics equipment. And today I've been doing that. As a matter of fact, I've gotten parts from quite a few things. I've pulled parts from a Behringer compressor, Alto Equalizer, Art Equalizer, and LED sign for like a bar that would display the bar specials. I also took apart a Strand analog lighting console and a Korg digital delay. I've sort of thrown those parts away already. So this was like I say, this was a digital display. I really wanted to get the LED modules out of it, but they're just soldered in too tightly, and I just wasn't able to get in there to where I could get to it. But I really wanted those LED modules, but I couldn't make that happen. So then I got to took a bunch of parts out of these two equalizers here. They're not really too much you can get out of one of these. All the parts are surface mounted and hard to get to, so I mainly just got the transformer, parts of the power supply. In a lot of cases I would take some of the connectors and or the terminal strips out of it. So I got that all done, and did the same thing here too. The Alto Equalizer. All of this stuff is either obsolete or broken and obsolete. But I'd already got the parts out of here, and I see already I should have gotten some heat sinks off the heat sinks off these parts here. I use a lot of heat sinks in that size, so I'll probably pull those before I get too far out of here. And then I got this Behringer Equalizer. I took it apart and I pretty much left a bare cabinet. I believe I'm going to try to sell this on eBay as an audio starter box. Do-it-yourself project with it's almost already built. So possibly an eBay future sale. Mainly what I'm getting out of here are I was talking about the surface mount components. Surface mount components are really hard to get the parts off of. Older gear had all the components were pretty much right on the surface, right where you can get to them. So you could either pull them out, pull the ICs out of the sockets, or unsolder the parts. You just put a soldering iron on one side and pull the parts off the other side. Here's another piece. This was from a cassette player, and that's pretty much the meter circuitry. But all the parts are right on the surface, and you could really get those parts. You can just unsolder them and put them in your box, and it's real easy to get the parts off of. But the new parts these days are pretty much right on the surface. This is out of this Behringer compressor here, and all the parts are just right here. And so small, there's no way to get those parts off and reuse those. Maybe some of these little capacitors, but it's just really no way to get to that. So generally you'd use soldering iron and just heat the components up on one side and pull it out on the other side with your finger, and that's pretty much a real quick and dirty way to do it. On this one, I got a lot of the I left all the audio connectors. All the audio connectors that are on the back of here are these audio came off of this board here, and a little different technique here is you can kind of see it's messed up quite a bit, but I just take a blowtorch, just a regular everyday blowtorch, and heat that doggone thing up right there, and you can get like 10 or 12 connectors at the same time. And while you're pulling the other side, pulling on the other side with your finger while you're heating it up, and hopefully you've got your fingerprints left over after you've done that. But it's a really easy, quick, and dirty way to get components with multi-pins out of a circuit board. Like for instance, if I wanted one of these relay modules here, I could heat it up. There's 8 pins I see on the other side, so I could heat up those 8 pins while I'm pulling on this relay on the other side and get that out of there. Mainly what I'm getting out of these things are the transformers. They're really expensive parts off even eBay. Transformers are very expensive. So that's mainly my target when I get in here. And so there's transformers from everything, and I've marked all the voltages. Everything I've pulled. Some of these are dual voltage and center tapped. Just some of it's perfect for LED lighting. Some of these voltages are just absolutely great, which is mainly what my main projects are right now. And speaking of getting transformers, that's the very first thing you want to do. When you open up a piece of gear that you want the parts out of, while that piece of gear is still intact and working or able to power up at all, you want to get your meter in there and check the voltage on these transformers so that you can get that on there and make that usable. You don't want a transformer just in your case without knowing what the power is. There's no way to use that. So the very first thing you want to do before you take any parts out or cut any wires is to check the voltage on your AC voltage on all your transformers, so you can mark that for later usage. So I get the transformers. I'm very much like to get the knobs. Very much like to get the knobs, dirty or not. I've got a rock tumbler. I can put the knobs in the rock tumbler, and here's a very large amount of knobs from that lighting console I tore apart earlier today. Hardware, I like to get the hardware, all the screws and nuts and bolts, just everything possible. I like to save the chassis, and just any kind of part that I might use for later. And as an example, I'll just kind of show you around the shop here. You have to kind of excuse the mess, but I really like to save all the wall wart transformers, anything that plugs in the wall that I can get power from later. Right now I've got them divided up into 12 volts, 9 volts, and 5 volts. And I've got another bin of transformers that are any other voltage besides those. Any hardware, I like to save the hardware, keep the hardware out. Any size, any shape, pretty much. You never know what you're going to have, what you're going to need for later. Here's some connectors, and some almost already made connector kind of stuff, and switches, Love to get the switches out. My knob collection is rather old. New and old knobs, everything in here. You wouldn't believe it. Some stuff from way back. Here's fans. Fans and heat sinks. Some fans with heat sinks. Battery and fuse holders. Some meters, like analog and digital voltmeters, any kind of meters, kind of nice. Terminal strips. I love to get the terminal strips. Any kind of lights are cool. Love to get the lights out. This box is pretty much endless. There's all kind of lighting in there. I have a lot of LED lighting too, but it's in another box. So it's usually in my current projects. Audio connectors. I got this entire box is loaded full of audio connectors. So I really enjoy doing this, and I've got quite a large set of parts. I'm working on a large set of gear I'm working on to get more parts out of. So hopefully in the future I'll have some more videos of parts coming out of electronic gear, mainly from the entertainment business. So too cool, guys, and catch you on the next trip.